Hello, everyone, and welcome to the LivBeerCast, Liverpool Beer Collective's podcast. We're here today and we're talking to guys from Colbier Brewing. Hopefully, they're going to tell us a little bit about what made them get into beer, where they've started, where they've come from, and where they see their brewery going. In terms of the ambience and the background, you might pick up a little bit of an open mic night in the background. That's courtesy of the guys at the Belvedere Arms, where we're all having a few beers. So, without further ado, let's move along and speak to the actual guys from Colbier. So, do you all want to go around the table and introduce yourselves, guys?
Yeah, so hi, I'm Mike. I'm the brewer at Colbier. We've worked at a few different breweries before in the past, including Handyman, Love Lane and Carnival as well. And now we make them beers at Colbier.
I'm Stuart, so I sell the beer. My background's more hospitality, bars, previously worked at the Handyman, selling craft beer, and take it from there.
I'm Vikki. I'm one of the owners of the brewery. I'm not actively involved myself per se. I work in the charity sector full time, so I guess I'm more emotional support and tasting the beers and giving my opinion and just getting involved in ways that I can on the side type thing.
So, now, just in terms of other sort of housekeeping bits as well, we are all having a beer. So, what are we all drinking at the minute? I'll start first. I'm on the Fell Brewing's bitter. I haven't had Fell beer for a few years. I think the Tinderbox IPA was the big one for me when I was first drinking their stuff, and it was pretty solid. But I haven't had anything from cask, anything in cask rather, from them for a little while. And I bet it's pretty good at the moment. Selection's always pretty good in the Belvedere. Has everyone got a good drink with them?
Yeah, on the bitter as well, the Phil. Nice solid bitter.
Yeah, I'm enjoying a nice pint of nightjar on cask. Pedro, really easy drinking.
Seems everyone's on cask.
Yeah. I'm on a half of each actually, I couldn't make up my mind, so it's half of the bitter and half of the nightjar.
Nice. Perfect. Okay, so in terms of getting things rolling with you guys, beyond where you sort of started from, what actually made you want to take the leap and start your own brewery up? Because I know you, Mike, had a bit of a background in brewing for some of the other local breweries around Liverpool and stuff, but given the climate at the moment, it's not exactly fertile ground for breweries to be starting things up, and hospitality is struggling. What made you actually want to take the leap?
I just felt like it was the right time, really. Like you say, we've worked in other places in the past and felt it's time to break out and do our own thing. The timing with hospitality, like, there's always going to be places that want to take the stuff, really, the cask and the keg, and there is more of a taste for what we actually want to do, which is a bit more of going back to brewing traditions and having just nice beer, really. Like, we try not to make beer that overly challenges people at times. Like, we like that sort of beer. We love beer that comes out of a lot of places which do make like overly hoppy beers and like overly fruity beers and whatever, but we just want to have beer that's like easily appreciated at any time of the day. You can drink throughout the day. So just straight down the line, pales and stouts and stuff. We have an alternating stout range where every time we'll always have a stout in stock, but it'll be different every time throughout the year. And I think there's a bit more of like appreciation for that right now. I think post-COVID, a lot of people kind of missed cask because they couldn't drink that at home, and they've gone back to that, which works out well for us.
Definitely agree with that. I find myself hankering for a pint of cask as soon as I go out. I think it's the first sort of protocol. I always look at what's on handle rather than what's on keg. Obviously, there's the whole thing if you start too early on keg, and some of us who are a little bit older tend to struggle with gassier beers as well. But yeah, the cask stuff definitely buy into that.
I think not only that though, but I mean, you might by nature, you're just someone that it's kind of your dream to own your own brewery, and you're very self-motivated, self-reliant, incredibly resourceful and determined, and for you, like, I think you've wanted for a long time to really own and run your own project, and one thing led to another, and it's like, well, actually, what's stopping us? And like, let's just go for it. But yeah, I think it's testament to how determined and passionate you are that you can just like, let's just do this now. Like, let's just go for it. But I think that does play a massive part in it. It's just that desire to be, independent and do our own thing and follow our own like wants and desires in terms of what we produce. Like we're talking about cask now. We're all sitting down with a pint of cask. That's what we like to drink. So it's quite natural that we'd make those same beers that we want to sit around the table with some mates and enjoy a few pints of.
I suppose there's not too many opportunities within most people's lifetimes really to sort of do something truly creative, make something of your own, and everything's kind of off your own back. And I suppose it sounds like that this is the sort of juncture where you've reached where that really works for you guys. And also it sounds like Mike's going to be making an extra special dinner for Vikki after all those compliments.
Yeah.
How about you, Stu? You agree with all that as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's something like, I spoke to Mike ages ago about good to have our own room. Or one day in Buxton having a few pints, sitting and drinking. What were we drinking?
So yeah, that day started where well, not even that day, but Stuart had been drinking a handyman where I was working at the time and really wanted to go to Buxton. I'd never been before, Stuart had never been before. So we were like, oh, let's have a day out in Buxton. And I think our first beer of the day
Yellow Belly.
it was Yellow Belly on cask, which is, what was it, 14%?
Phenomenal. One of the best beers I've had.
But it was,
Wasn't it like 10? Like 10%?
or maybe it is 10%.
It's actually the first stout I've ever liked. I think it's the purely like biscuity, rich loveliness of it.
It's a Buxton with Omnipollo. Yeah, there was that on cask, and it was a warm April day.
Scorching hot, sitting outside. And I was like, you couldn't do that with another cask.
That was our day, and we went from there to Red Willow, then back into Manchester and stuff. And Stuart had not long moved from Scotland, and then we were in the beer garden, I remember, in Port Street, and I was saying, oh, I want to start a brewery one day. And I was like, I like Stuart's great at talking. I was like, you'd be a great salesperson. So I was like, I want you to be the salesperson. And we kind of had this idea, over the time, yeah. So it just makes sense. If there was anybody else that I'd start the brewery with, it would have to be Stuart, to be honest.
Going into that as well, the times of how tough it is for breweries and hospitality. You could pick any time. Now you could sit now and go, oh, I don't know. Well, you could sit 2 years time. Should have done it then. Should have done it now. It's when, so you just got to go for it. I mean, should have, would have, could have. Looking back, I think now's the time, the best time probably to go for it.
Yeah. And I think you guys are both so incredibly determined when you work on your own project. You've just got this passion and this roaring to go energy behind it, and at the same time as well, Mike has obviously been monitoring the market for a long while and looking at price of equipment and the ticket and things like that, and it's just kind of come together where actually we thought with the resources we had, we could actually finally make it work at this point in time, and why not give it a shot? Just do it.
Yeah, no, 100%. As I said before, that sort of creative juncture has arrived, sort of the right time for all three of you. So just in terms of what actually got you, talked about Yellow Belly there, and I remember one of my friends I took to the Liverpool Craft Beer Expo many years ago, and they also had the Omnipollo and Buxton Yellow Belly on cask, and it was kind of a weird one because not many people had seen such a strong beer on cask before going back to them. And he was a little bit terrified because he's allergic to peanuts, but we were assured that there's no actual peanuts. And I contacted the brewery as well. I think it was Colin. I emailed when I was writing the blog about something, and he confirmed that there's actually no peanuts going near it, which is unbelievable when you consider how sort of peanut buttery that beer was when it first came out. But those sort of beers, they're the sort of things that really get people hooked into this whole thing, gets them excited because they taste something very, very different, and they realise what you can actually create, what you can do, what you can experience. Just on that sort of level, what actually got you guys into beer in the first place? I suppose we can go with all three of you really, so we've probably all got your own individual story of what got you excited about beer in the first place.
Well, so for me, it was back when I was 14. actually, and I went on a family holiday to Bruges.
Liverpool Beer Collective does not condone.
No, this is the thing. My parents don't, but like over in Belgium, the drinking age was 14.
Oh, true. Yeah.
So I was allowed to drink the beer, and we went to the De Halfman brewery, and I had Zot, and I absolutely love Zot to this day. And like, yeah, I just got a little bit of a soft spot for it, I suppose. Absolutely love Belgian beers. Went through a phase in my late teens, very embarrassed about drinking crap beer. Like the really like macro lagers and stuff, like Fosters and stuff, because it was cheap and is what you could drink.
Everyone went through those phases, isn't it?
It was just what was available. I mean, I'm a little bit older than you guys, and I just remember that all that was available in sort of the 90s, back when there was something like 30 independent breweries in the UK. There was just nothing to drink. It was basically the hype drink at the time. It was like Stella Artois or stuff like that. But you know, you could get Löwenbräu and things like that in some bars. You get Erdinger and Bitburger and things like that. You get some decent German stuff, but it's very rare unless you went to a proper pub that you get something like that. So most people's drinking experience starts with sort of continental lagers, really. So you're not too far off with the hard man.
Yeah, I've always.
Results and things like that.
I've just always had a soft spot for Belgian beers ever since as well. And then I went through the whole lager phase, and then by the time I got to uni, I was drinking cask beer quite a bit. Then my gateway beer, which I'm also ashamed to say, into proper craft, which you can call it proper craft, was Punk IPA. And it was just like I was working for my brother at the time, and I think like a lot of the beer that was available at the events that he was running was Punk IPA and Dead Pony Club, is it, as well, and Elvis Juice. So you always get some leftover bottles and stuff. I quite like that, and then that got me working the 23 Club. But it was all like it was all the more expensive craft beer though. By the time I started working in the 23 Club, that made me think I cannot afford this habit. So I had to learn how to brew these sorts of beers. So I started home brewing beers so I can try and replicate the really expensive beers that I was craving. But yeah. What about you guys then?
I mean, same as you. I'd always been into beer and as far as I drank lagers and stuff like that. Always have done really. And then I lived in France for quite a long period of time, and then specifically in Lyon, there were these great little along the river, these little river boats, and they kind of turned into bars over summer. You could sit on the quayside and get a few pints in, and they had happy hour and go down, students, mates of mine, and had a few beers, and we just worked our way around the menu basically. But a lot of it was Belgian beers, the triple Carmelite or different wheat beers from Belgium and stuff like that. And absolutely got into stuff like that, and then tastes and beer just started developing from that point. I remember coming back to Liverpool as well and meeting up with Mike, and he was, there's this craft beer expo, and come down with me, and went along, and then I had Tzatziki sour, and was like, oh my god, what? What is this? And I just realised at that point that you could make, the limits of what you can do with beer they're just endless. And that just piqued my interest even more. And I went back and I was just raving about all these mad beers that I had at this festival. All my French friends, because it was like, you don't hear about stuff like that, and the creativity and all these different independent breweries that were there. I just thought it was awesome. And I think from there I just kept tasting, discovering and exploring new things, and kind of getting to know a bit more of what I like, and it's obviously developed over the years and stuff like that. But yeah.
So it's quite an interesting take on it, that you've been over to France, which everyone kind of associates in the main with wine drinking, but I've heard that before, that the sort of Alsace region, Lyon, around there and stuff, it's got a little bit more of a beer culture. Right, with being so close to Germany and Belgium, and they have a little bit more going on. I know there's a guy who used to work at Manhattan Brewing called Mark, who's from that region as well, and he's very much of the opinion that beer was more important than wine, and that's why he got into brewing as well. There's
even places in south of France that are doing cask now as well.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's just one of them things that, you see everyone thinks of stuff like Heineken and stuff like that to drink over there, but I mean, you go to house bars and whatever, you hang out with mates and everyone will be drinking Hoegaarden or Lef, or like other strong blonde beers, just really obviously Belgian style recipes. Maybe not now the one in my hand, but at the time, like that's kind of what you drink and you get into, and then from that you naturally kind of go, oh, okay, well what's similar, and try other things, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, I think with mine it was when I was living back in Edinburgh, working in bars there, working at a whiskey bar, Bennett's, and we had about 7, 8 handfuls on the go. We had local brewers like Barney's Beer, Pilot. When they kind of started off, they were only really cask, and now they've flipped to mainly keg. Tried all them, and like Black Isle Brewery, I think that, and then they'd get a lot of guest stuff. Like when my friends went to a bar and they had Alphabet Flat White. Never tried a white stout before. He's like, try this brewery. This beer, it's really nice. Try it. First sip of this is amazing. Like, what is this? It's a whole new world. And I think from that, it's kind of more interesting mid-20s, and then going down to Leeds, like bars in Leeds, choice of bars, beers and that, and walked in one of the North bars and they had Cannibal IPA on cask. I've seen the can before, I've never seen it on cask before. I tried that. It's a game changer. I think that can interest me more into madness and beers and like heavy IPAs and casks and stuff. And
it's, as I say, it's a bit interesting. A lot of people drink their first beers and stuff. It's usually some stolen bits of cans, or they drink from something their dad's got in or something like that. Or have something. It's typically on keg because they just associate the whole thing with cask. I mean, the perception of it has probably changed a little bit over the last few years, with the last couple of generations, where they don't view it quite the same as we used to in the 90s, where it was just kind of room temperature, flat beer, not much life in it, and it's going to taste a bit like autumn leaves and toffee and stuff, and there's not an awful lot. Things have moved on a little bit, so it's interesting to hear that all of you have kind of very early on with the cask thing.
When I used to work in Bennett's back home, they had, which I've not really seen since, they had separate rooms. You had your cask room, which was reasonable temperature, and then you had your keg room, which was cold. I think now a lot of people combine them into both, and your cask is a bit more cold. Back then, it was just room temperature. It changed a bit now, but for the best, I think some cask beer should be as room temperature. It should be colder, enjoyable, but not too cold.
So I'm definitely glad that the whole thing with cask has been dispelled. I think the worst, throw my own 2 pence into it, the worst pint of cask I've ever tasted in my life was over in Las Vegas, and I went to a place called the Pub, and they were serving cask beer. And I had a sip of this stuff, and it was a Beta Purple Haze, which I've actually had on keg as well. I've had from cans in supermarkets and sell it in Walmart over there as well. And it's a lovely beer. You get it the right temperature, it's quite refreshing, very, very floral, as you would expect. But these guys put it in cask and then kept it at the very wrong temperature. So I sent it back and asked what the hell was going on. It's like, oh, this is the way it's meant to be. It's meant to be cellared at a warmer temperature and all the rest of it. I had to do the Karen thing and ask to speak to the manager. It was terrible. But yeah, we went back a few years later and they'd stopped doing cask altogether. But that's the way it goes. So just in terms of sort of brass tacks and stuff, in terms of the brewery itself, let's get on to a bit more of the sort of techie stuff in terms of what you guys are doing at your site and booth. What's the sort of size and the setup of the brewery? Where's the kit, location? Is there any kind of tap room planned or anything like that?
So yeah, we're just around the corner from Bootle Oriel Road. We're on a 20 hectolitre kit. It's kind of been like a few different kits all like merged together sort of thing. We've got a cold liquor tank and a hot liquor tank, which are that are extra big, which allow me to brew twice a day. And then we've built our own Whirlpool tank as well, on top of the copper and the mash tun. So yeah, it's a bit of a homemade sort of kit as well.
Cannibalised lots of other breweries, bits and pieces, and pulled it together into your own.
Yeah, like a few of it's like the copper and the mash tun are built by somebody who made like a brewery that was custom built based off a dairy farm. But then, yeah, the HLT is like just a HLT, a Dave Porter one sort of thing.
No, we've done what we could, like with the budget that we had, and just pushed it to limits and managed to get some really good deals on terms of equipment, by buying at auction and things like that, getting second-hand bits of kit. I find Centre, you've been scouring the internet day in, day out for months on end to find the best thing that we could get with the budget we had, and it's amazing, pulled together an incredible kit.
So we've got, how many fermentation vessels we got? We've got 7 2,000 litres, well, 6 2,000 litres, and one bright tank that's 2,000 litres, 2 that are 4,500, so we double brew into those, our core range. And then we've got a half-sized fermenter, which is more for our experimental stuff. So we've got a Saison in tank at the moment, which is one of the things that I said in the get-go, we're definitely just going to do a Saison.
They sell sometimes.
Yeah.
I think there's a niche market for it, but there's like a lot of Saison fans out there. Like, I never really knew Saisons much until Mike introduced me to them, and I love a good Saison.
I think that's it, we brew what we love, like the three of us just absolutely love Saisons.
Yes.
We love cask, we love trad stuff. We really inspired by, I suppose, brewing traditions, and we want to kind of go back to those traditions and kind of really value the fantastic.
But we're not just doing brewing traditions as well.
Of course.
But that's like, we're not focusing on always trying to like reinvent the wheel. It's just going to be like, doing what we think is nice, what's good, what we like to do, and then we do a lot of modern beers as well. We've got like Overture's been one of their best sellers as well, isn't it? And
pretty much out of stock just until the next batch is ready.
And
it's fantastic. Yeah, it's been a really good seller.
It's just a hazy IPA. I mean, I wouldn't quite say a NEPA because it's a little bit more malty as well than a normal NEPA as well. But that makes it a little bit different. Like Jakehead by Wylam, I wouldn't say that's a NEPA, just a hazy pale itself, and it's more similar to Jakehead.
I get that impression that was marketed more as a straight up kind of American spin on British IPA kind of. Jakehead first came out, and Dave Stone kind of putting blues music on from, I can't remember the artist and stuff, where he got the name from. So, these guys who wander the sort of southern states of the US selling snake oil type stuff, and you get people drinking all kinds of weird and wacky stuff, and they'd be like, "Oh, that guy, he's a Jakehead, he's been drinking this stuff from this merchant." It was kind of be drinking any old crap that someone gets snake oil sales and give them. But no, it's interesting you've moved on to those sort of things, because the next sort of question I was going to ask you is just in terms of where you guys see Colbier sitting in the scene with Liverpool, just as a whole, really. Do you think there's many gaps you can fill? Say we've got a bit of a transitional scene here, really, at the minute, with breweries coming and going, but you guys are obviously newer kids on the block. Where do you see yourselves?
I mean, I think what we want to do is we want to brew beer that we love, that we genuinely think is great beer, but also, I suppose in the sense of, creating that next gateway beer for a lot of people. I think what was really lovely about what we did about the launch events is that, we all invited family down, and they came down, and there was really something for everyone. And like my uncle, who just drinks the same pints week in, week out at the pub that he goes to, he came down and the bitter's lovely, the pale's really nice, and even my mum had a...
You're really proud of seeing your dad with a hazy IPA.
Yeah, I took a picture, it was great. My dad and my uncle sat there drinking a hazy IPA, like a scene that I never thought I'd see, and they enjoyed it, and that's it. I mean, for us, we love beer, but we also just love sitting and hanging out with mates and family and having a good time, and that's what it's all about. It's about bringing people together. We don't want to exclude anyone, we don't want to... Yeah, we want to make something that's truly accessible, and there's room for everyone in what we brew. I think that's kind of our message. It's not a message, but just have a good time with the people you love, and it's something that everyone can find a bit of enjoyment and tasting, really.
Yeah, it's not, like I say, it's not trying to reinvent the wheel. It's not trying to push. I mean, we are trying to push the boundaries, I suppose, with some stuff, but it's not trying to challenge the everyday drinker with every pint that they have from us.
Not throwing loads of different adjuncts in and trying to brew something that's weird and wacky and big stunts and stuff. I mean, there's obviously a space for breweries that do that. But
I think he's making a nice, solid, good beer that you can have a pint. I'm going to have another pint of this. I'm going to have a third pint of this. You can enjoy. Especially now we're coming to summer season, you can sit in the beer garden and have a nice pint of a bright pale cask or a hazy pale keg. Just enjoy. Just make good beer that you can enjoy.
Even accent as well, like sours in general, like a lot of the time they're quite over the top on a lot of things these days.
Which one's the accent?
So accents are traditional German Goza, and it's just easy beer, easy drinking, not overly sour because a Goza's not supposed to be too sour, with a little hint of coriander. And like Stuart, you've been chatting to a lot of the people as well when you try to get them the tasters, and like
the response I'm getting for that beer, like don't think we expected that response. We knew we make a good beer, but I'm going to bars and they've had to sample, and even people that have breweries, they're trying it. It's how a German Goza should be. It's clean, crisp. There's no added stuff to it. It's just Himalaya salt and coriander. It's 4%, refreshing. It's kind of what I do, so I strip it right back to how it should be.
That's it. It's going back to those traditions. Like I've always said, the Goza is a style that I really like, and I realised like until we made that beer, I'd never actually had a proper traditional German Goza. I'd never had one. You don't see them about, like, and that's the difference. And like I just genuinely didn't know what to expect about the beer, and it surprised me in many ways. Absolutely delightful. Absolutely love it, and yeah, it's just it's going back to that route, but also it's so new and surprising to see, I think, on the local scene. So that's what gets me really excited. I think that's awesome. I think it's a fantastic beer.
I think we've had a bit of an up and down, let's say, over the last decade or so with certain breweries. So the likes of Chorlton Brewing, Marcus, who's the main guy there, I think he spent a great deal of time over in Berlin, and he learned to brew Goza and things like that. And I remember attending a Meet the Brewer event there, and he was telling us about a lot of the stuff would be drunk and it'd be just added with things like woodruff, sort of cordial and raspberry and things like that. That's what we do in Berlin bars with Goza and stuff. But the really good stuff, the really clean stuff and stuff, you wouldn't need to adulterate it with any kind of adjunct or add any extra flavours. But it's kind of American breweries, obviously they've got a lot to answer for, but a lot for us to thank them for in terms of bringing our attention to a lot of these sort of styles, which we've not really seen in the UK for much at all, really, before 2013, something like that. So there was a bit of a pop with, everybody wanted to try something new. And there's obviously a few styles which didn't quite catch the imagination, things like West Coast Ale and New England IPA over the last few years and stuff, they've definitely stuck. But Goza's one that didn't stick, but I must admit, I think there's a lot of people like myself, like Vikki, who are still very, very keen on having these beers available to them.
I think the other problem was there's a lot of trying to redo the Goza, but they're adding fruits to it and make it sour, and it's basically sour with a touch of salt in it. So we want to kind of try and show people, no, this is how it should be, like nice traditional Goza.
it's sour, but on the borderline of sour.
You could be a lager drinker, an IPA drinker who doesn't like sours. You hand them a glass of that.
We have friends that don't drink beer and drink cocktails or stick to gin and lemonade or things like that, and they've gone in, they've tasted it, like, it's so different, it doesn't even taste like beer to me. Like, and that's the thing, it's about bringing people in and showcasing everything that you can do with beer, but helping back to those traditions as well. So
certainly with the accent and the Goza, I'd be interested in trying it on a couple of people I know. Because remember the first beer week we organised for Liverpool, we did a bit of a tasting at our branch of Head of Steam, and they tried 7 or 8 different types of beer, and there were some people who were just like, I don't like beer, that's it, I don't like beer. They had it in their head and they went to this tasting, but they came along as a semi-favourite to me or to one of their other friends or something like that. But to a person, every single person that said white wine was their go-to drink, as soon as they tried the Goza that was on offer, their head was turned and they suddenly found a beer that they liked.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, you've got to have these things available, and it's difficult sometimes when they're just a seasonal thing and they don't get picked up, that people sort of stop brewing. And they're difficult to sell because you don't shift as much volume, but you can always bring somebody new as a customer and get somebody new onto beer and stuff. And that's kind of what we want, really, is that kind of continuity.
Definitely.
Do you say, just on sort of to put a slightly sad tinge on it, the recent news that Chapter Brewing have announced that they're going to be closing things up? Do you think there's a bit more of an opportunity for you to sort of fill their boots, step into their shoes, so to speak, in terms of what you're producing?
It's going to be some hard boots to fill if you you can't put us in the same category as Chapter. They're one of my favourite Liverpool breweries. They've been around since around the time I started working in the bars in Liverpool.
Yeah, one of the first ones I tried when I moved in here.
Yeah, I don't think you could even put us in the same ballpark, to be honest, straight away with
Very
Chapter.
large boots. I mean, such consistently excellent beers, and always challenging you, and also just making the good sessionable, lovely ales that you want to come back to time and time again, I suppose. But
they're the only ones who are doing, after Mad Hatter and all that, doing Belgian pales really as well in Liverpool. So I know you can get Belgian beers over here, but like it's just cool to see like a English variation of it every now and again and stuff. And yeah, their West Coast were very much a straight down the line proper West Coast, like the Keystone one that they did.
Of course.
Yeah, that was brilliant. That was more along the lines of our first West Coast, but a lot of West Coast these days are a little bit more fruity and a little bit more along the same lines as a Nipa with a bit of bitterness.
So not really West Coast.
People have got different definitions of West Coast, but our definition is more along the lines of Forte, our West Coast, and the Chapter Keystone one. So if there was a Liverpool brewery that we'd like to ever say that we'd like to do similar sort of styles to and compare ourselves to, I suppose, you say Chapter.
So to say, we're all obviously drinking cask. Something else I was going to ask you about, just in terms of what your plans are, in terms of what your main output for the brewery is going to be. Do you guys individually and as a brewery, do you have a sort of a dispense preference as well? So we talked a lot about we're all drinking cask at the moment, but do you guys have any sort of preference of what direction the brewery's going to go, or what you personally like to drink, really?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, cask seems to be our main production that's been flying out. Our cask beer, our bitter, it's been flying out. The bright pale, we've done a blonde. It's gone down really well. We've got our mild coming out next week. Really excited for that. We've tried a bit from the tanks. It's fantastic. Keg stuff. We've got the West Coast, got the Goes, got the Haze Beer been flying out. But I think we're not going to have a specific road we're going down. We're interested to make good beer in all forms. Cans. We've got our own can lines. We do can, keg, cask.
I think it depends as well on the beer style. Like, I've made a lot of like modern cask in the past as well, previous breweries, which is very nice, but it's just not 100% what I want to do with Colbier. Like we want to do, if we're doing the cask, it's got to be more like cask conditioned, which you can't do as easily with like a Nipa on cask, because you've got to flood fill it and you can't like really give it the proper conditioning. Tastes a bit more like tank fills. So a lot of this like Overture, I mean, I'm saying it right now, and you never know what's going to happen in 20 years or 10 years or 5 years, but Overture, I'm never going to do on cask.
No, I think
It's
that's
just not suited for cask. It's a keg beer, and then we have a love as well for like continental lagers. We're going to do a lagering program as well. That'll obviously always be keg.
100%. Yeah.
Cask
bring
lager
out
is
some-
hard to sell, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, several breweries have done stuff like that in cask, but I think just certain places have certain places to be like.
Yeah. No, so I was just like the thing that obviously we inspired to do is Belgian doubles, Belgian triples. I think Mike, you're really like put together a really nice recipe, and I'm really excited to see something like that as well. But yeah, I mean it is going back to that thing of
What's best for the beer?
what is best for the beer, what brings out the the beer in the best way, serving things the right way for the style, and also as well, the accessibility thing, I get that not everyone likes cask, and I get that not everyone wants keg beer or whatever, it's having something for everyone and making it so that everyone can enjoy a nice glass of cold beer, and that's it, and whether it be at home in can format or in pub, in cask or keg, whatever your style is, good planning to that sort of thing, isn't it? You know, everyone can enjoy it.
Brilliant. No, this is it. So we're never going to see any. I suppose the chorus is the main pale ale that you do on cask. So we've had a brief chat out with this sort of interview, this podcast, where we've talked a little bit in terms of the difficulty that you've had in getting involved with the hops for that beer and stuff. But so we've had it on cask at all the launch events and stuff that you did at the end of March, which were all quite well received. But we've never seen that in can or in keg, or are you saying that never say never on some of those beers?
With that one, we're not sure yet.
No.
We might test it out, might do, but like at the moment, it's definitely a cask beer, and it might translate well. It's just that,
You want to make sure of the product before it's sort of...
We're not going to do it on the different format just for the gimmick of it being on the different format. It's got to be suited for that other format, and we're going to make sure it tastes right before we release it as that. Not do like the sour on cask because it's sour on cask. If it tastes great as being a sour on cask, we'll release it as sour on cask.
Taste and quality first and foremost.
Yeah. So speaking of which, what sort of beers do we expect initially? I mean, we've seen quite a broad range of what you've released in terms of the stuff for the main sort of launch events and stuff. But can you give us a bit of a rundown of what your main beers are that you started with, what the next sort of tranche of things you're going to brew, and what the dispense are, and where we might be able to find them?
So we've had 6 beers we launched with, and coming from that, we've got the blonde we just released this week. That's going really well. We've got a mild table beer coming next, and the saison that we've currently got in tank.
And we've also had but originally we had the West Coast IPA, Overture, which is just a hazy pale, just Simcoe and Citra, nice, sessionable, easy drinking hazy pale. Chorus, which you've already mentioned, tastes like a trad beer, but it's a little bit of a more modern twist. It's a little bit more us. But you mentioned there was an issue with the hops. Like the issue with the hops is like really nobody else is using this hop, so it's kind of hard to get in the country now. It seems, which was Polaris, which I kind of came across in the past just by accident. Nobody else is using it. It's kind of like a modern take on a German noble hop.
Is this where the push starts for the Polaris appreciations?
I love it. It's great. It's just so unique.
Part of the internet getting excited about one hop that not many breweries use.
It's Polaris is Citra.
Me excited about Fuggles because it sounds great. I love the name Fuggles. Very traditional English hop.
No hype brewery would say that.
I think that's one of the most maligned hops that anyone has ever used. It tends to be just dumped into mild, and no one tends to drink very, very sort of traditional things. And we've got
Legato as well, which is our dry Irish stout. First one that was they're all very well received actually. The first ones, but the dry Irish stout, I was asking a few people about like stout designs over the years, and they all say like the hops don't matter. And 1 or 2 times people are like, they don't even use hops really. You just like put a little bit in the first wort and that's it, and then just like concentrate on like chocolatey malts and stuff. But hops are very underrated in a stout. So Target and Phoenix and that just makes a nice chocolate molasses sort of taste. Really nice. What else? Accent and German Goza we've talked about as well.
We haven't talked about the Forte being on cask as well. That is smooth.
Oh yeah. The West Coast. Yeah, we already did a couple of those, and it was on Port Street on Friday, and we just had it in the grapes. Yeah.
The roads just before came out to try it. It's really malty, smooth, bitter goodness. Just a bit.
Other beers as well that are coming out. We've got we talked about the table beer, the mild, saison. Talk about a golden ale as well soon. Oatmeal stout, like we were saying before, like we're always going to have a stout in stock, but it's going to be rotating at all times. So we're just going to try out all the different types of stout that we really appreciate. So we're doing an oatmeal stout next. The baritone as well. We haven't talked about baritone, the bitter.
One of the best beers, yeah, the bitter.
Yeah.
It's proper classic bitter. It's an unreal beer. Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, that's probably my favourite of all the beers.
Yeah, I've got to say, having tried it at 2 of the launch events, I'm not ashamed to admit that it really did turn my head as well. It was a very, very well put together beer.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
So
that
it'll
one's
definitely be something that I see on dispense and I'll be going for every single time. So.
And we've got another sour as well coming out for the expo. A little bit more unusual as well. So going a little bit, not like towards like we're gonna say like we're not trying to reinvent the wheel, but we will do some madder beers every now and again. So this one's going to be something where it's a little bit more unusual that you won't see around. So we're doing a little bit of everything, I suppose.
Inspired by some of them, just because I love travel. So yeah.
Yeah.
We won't say anymore.
The Liverpool Craft Beer Expo, for those who have never attended it before, that's the 6th to the 8th of June at Black Lodge Brewery, and also the site behind it, which is a sort of cocktail space and other drinks and stuff called Sub Rosa. And the guys at Colbier are going to have their own bar there, amongst many other local breweries and some quite new and exciting breweries from the wider UK as well as the likes of Siren, who've never actually been to a beer festival in Liverpool, to my mind anyway. So it should be a really, really good one. I think tickets are pretty much sold out for the Saturday afternoon. So there's the Thursday and the Friday and the Saturday evening, which might still be available. Just depends when this podcast goes out. So just going back to the sort of list of things I wanted to talk about. One that's sticking out like a sore thumb, given Mike's wearing the shirt for it and everything else, and you've got musical notation, everything. Can you tell us a little bit in terms of the musical connection that the brewery's got and stuff? I mean, a lot of your beer names and things like that are named after sort of musical terms instead of sort of classical approaches to.
So yeah,
orchestrated.
well, years ago I was doing a lot more to do with music. All big music fans in general. I went to university to study music, and then went on to sell vinyl records for years, and met Stuart through like going, through the pub and stuff. But apart from beer, we also had a great interest in music, and we had a lot of the same bands in common, and we go to gigs together and everything. So we just feel like music and beer, they go together, they go hand in hand and whatnot.
Two of the best things, like music and two things together. I mean, beer and food's well, but we can add food to that, so the music and the beer thing.
Yeah, we've all got a massive passion in that department and stuff, and like you've probably got a more technical, theoretical background and knowledge than what me and Stu have, but you know, we definitely all share a massive love of music. But I think there was just a desire to keep that link going really, and have a kind of resonating theme, something that linked everything together quite well in terms of the beer names as well. So yeah, it just kind of came quite organically really.
Yeah.
So, just how does that work really? Just in terms of, like for example, the stout is called Legato and the West Coast is called Forte and stuff. How do you sort of? I'm trying to think what's the sort of mindset that you go, okay, that style definitely ties itself to that musical.
So we didn't want to do puns. We didn't want to do musical puns or things related to artists. So it's all to do with terminology. It's not linked to anybody at all. Like our name Colbier, it doesn't mean anything else apart from us. Apart from the fact that the word beer is spelled the continental way of spelling beer, because we're inspired a lot by continental beers. It's very unique. Like we've heard about many breweries that have been confused by other breweries, and they get untapped scores because people rate the wrong breweries and stuff, and it brings down their ratings. And the same thing happens in all sorts of things. Like the same thing happens in the music world, where bands have the same names, and bands get commented on thinking that somebody thinks they're the other band. And it's just like, we wanted to have a word that's completely unique, completely our own. And then the musical terminology for the names, like it's not linking us to anybody else. So if we started naming all our beers after Paul McCartney songs, we might have somebody who automatically sees the beer and is like, oh, I'm not a Paul McCartney fan, so I don't want to buy that beer. But you need to like judge it on our own merit. It's us, it's nothing else.
Like a little impression of Paul McCartney's.
That wasn't Paul McCartney. That was somebody who doesn't like Paul McCartney.
Oh, not Paul McCartney, no. But I think, yeah, I mean, in terms of the names, we've just tried to link them in a way that made sense. Like, you know, piano means to play lightly or quietly, and that links quite well with the table beer because it's light on ABV and stuff like that. And, you know, yeah.
And the legato as well, so like play smooth, and that beer is quite smooth. Although it's roasty, it's smooth.
So that's what you go for, what the character of the beer is.
The word's got to be related to the beer.
And it's related to how it would translate music.
Yeah.
And that's quite good.
An overture as well, it's like, we were talking about gateway beers, it's just a nice sessionable introduction, but at the same time it was our big introduction, so the overture into the, like it's the introduction. Basically.
It's an introduction to a symphony, isn't it?
Yeah, and then
so that's what it means, and it was the introduction to our brewery. It was here we are, we're
was that the first brew off
stepping out and
third. Yeah. And then, and then there was chorus as well, which is like the one that people always come back to as well, like returner.
Yeah, no, it's quite interesting that you've picked something that's kind of very sort of level, I would describe it as, because you get a lot of breweries who will pick beers and stuff and things they're very passionate about, but they'll pick names that, I don't know, that it feels like they're almost a double-edged sword a lot of the time, because some of them can be brilliant and somebody can get the joke on the name that is made. You know, they pick something out of an obscure 80s film or something like that. If somebody hasn't seen that film, you're instantly either alienating someone, engaging them, or you're putting them off if they don't like that film. So there's a very...
I agree and disagree at the same time. Like, I agree with what you're saying, but at the same time, if you haven't heard that reference, it won't necessarily put you off. I don't think.
No, that's what I'm saying. It might alienate you, the fact that you've not heard of it. So why should I drink that? Rather than being a turn off. But no, I do. I know what you mean.
But like, yeah,
again, it comes back to like a sense of coherence between what we're doing and what what inspires us, and what our background is, I suppose, and then again, it's about making something that's accessible, it's understandable, it is what it is. It's quite transparent in a way, I suppose. And that's kind of who we are as people, we're very...
And again, if we were just doing like puns, or if we're in Liverpool, you'd end up doing some Beatles stuff maybe. And then it's like we're a Beatles tribute act in beer.
Yeah.
We're our own thing. We want to just be Colbier and everybody to know that's the only thing, related.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, just in terms of going back to saying you guys have got something going on at the expo, do you have any other events planned? I mean, you've just come off the back of a really, really good tap takeover, from what I understand, at Port Street Beer House. It seemed to be well received there, and the launch events did really well. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the Port Street event, how well that went, and also give us a bit of a rundown of where else we're going to be able to see you guys, if there's going to be anywhere outside of Liverpool that people can get your beer as well, especially?
I mean, yeah, the Port Street one went really, really well. We had full range on, some of the new beers on, we had 40 on keg and cask. That was the kind of first reveal of it.
The blonde, actually, I don't think we even mentioned the blonde yet, actually.
Yeah, one of the ones. Yeah, that went down really well. A lot of Port Street has a regular cask drinkers going there for their beer, and the manager Mike at 10, here's the manager, sorry, said the blonde and the bitter have just got amazing response. So yeah, it was really, really good that we had that lunch tap takeover at.
It's one of the most legendary Manchester bars as well.
It's one of the first ones we went to as well, I think. We went to Boston, we went to Port Street, and we've always gone to Port Street when we go to Manchester. It's been that staple place that you always go to in Manchester. It's just the range, whether it's European beers, local beers from down south, or beers from up north. Got a range of different beers and some ciders as well. It's good selection, so that was really, really good to have the tap takeover there. Regarding other festivals, we've spoke about in the expo. We've got a stall at Crate at Future Yards on the 25th of May. That'll be it. It's called Crate. Basically, it's local craft breweries having stalls at it, and also record sales, like a record market.
Okay.
So you're getting to find music and which for us it's fantastic. It's
Pretty much perfect, isn't it?
Yeah, it's right on our street, so that kind of thing. So we're really excited to be part of that. And in future, just bring a place over the water for music and beer. We have good selections of craft beers.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Future Yard, it's a predominantly a music venue over in Birkenhead. Very easy to get through from Liverpool, from North Wales, from Chester. But they've got a little bit of an interest in beer and stuff as well. They've had some of the local breweries on and stuff. And obviously, these guys have
a lot of tap takeovers.
Yeah.
Had a lot of good tap takeovers recently. Got a lot of good ones coming up as well. So it's good to do some with them. And we've got a couple of stuff that were in the pipeline, but we've got a surprise for later in the year.
Excellent.
Yeah, in contact with a few other breweries as well for some collaboration beers as well, hopefully.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be a busy summer.
Have you made any sort of new friends? Are there anybody who's sort of interested in doing stuff? Is there anything you can sort of divulge in terms of people you might be working with or anything lined up, or are you going to be keeping those cards close to your chest too?
I think it's been kind of, not being tough to like arrange collaborations. We've had quite a lot of people that we've talked to in the past and we've worked with in the past that would like to do stuff, but we feel like a collaboration has to be a proper collaboration rather than somebody just turning up on the brew day and helping dig out the mash. It's got to be they're involved with the recipe design and they're involved with everything in the process, and it's the beer benefits from both parties being involved. So we've got a collab coming up in 2 weeks, which we probably would have started brewing anyway by the time the podcast comes out, which was with Jasper Yeast, who have been big boss with us from the start. And that's our new sour. They've been very involved as well with the recipe design. Came up with the initial idea, and they've just given feedback of how things would go. So that's how I feel like the collaboration should go. And we've got a few more as well in the works.
That's it. I mean, we're the newest brewery on the scene in Liverpool, and we recognise that, and we know that we've got tons to learn from like other great, fantastic breweries, and that's what it's all about. It's about that knowledge sharing, that joint passion for different things, and kind of really pulling our skills and showcasing what we've got to offer as well at the same time. So
yeah, but we've got also like a big back catalogue of just like a lot of beers that we want to release first. So we've got our like core range pale, our core blonde, our core hazy pale, our core West Coast and stuff, and it's like this is all very us. So we want people to know what we are first before we do like a hell of a lot of collabs.
Yeah. So definitely get the core range beers nailed down as well. Don't be one of the breweries who brew something different every single brew. It's like everything's got to be tweaked, everything's got to be different, everything's got to come with a different name and a different label. It's like give people something you can rely on a little bit as well.
That's it, to a certain extent. You want people to know what they're expecting when they try one of our beers, so that works for us and makes you go back to the same beers over and over again, doesn't it? So.
It does. Smashing. Thank you very much, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure to have your company this afternoon, or whenever it is you guys are listening to it at home. Hopefully we'll be doing these podcasts on a little bit more of a regular basis. Until then, take care of yourselves, and hopefully we'll see you with a pint in hand at some point soon. Goodbye.
Cool. Cheers. Bye.
Thanks, Pedro. Cheers.